back to another episode of Let's Play Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. I'm your host, the RPG Guy. So, while working through the game, I realized I had missed the Hunt for the Wild Men. And what it was two chests that were across from where we fought the first Wildman over there. And I'm like, well, shoot, how did I not get 100% in Origian? So I teleported back to kind of re-encounter these fights, just because we're getting try to 100% the quest guide in this, at least. Can't speak for the powers and skills and stuff, but we can at least speak for that. And it gives me an excuse to work on the spirit magic while I'm at it, because I completely just flew over my head. Did not think about it at all. So, whoops, but we're getting it now. A little XP we could have had earlier. Varathor, I think they're all the same level right now. So I would put Varathor in kind of the back here of the XP, so we'll double check. 18, yeah, he's in the rear here, so let's put him in the front. Kind of makes sense, because he would have been in the lead most of the time through here. Anywho. So let's head down. Say howdy doody. I'll just power through these guys ASAP here. This is kind of loud, sorry guys. Okay. Adriel levels. Strangely enough, Hadhod levels, so they get all their AP back. All warbands defeated. Health medicine. Silent War, I think. So, no, you can see no gear. So, it's not like you had to worry about, losing out on gear. Now the question is, can we teleport back to Moria? I don't think so. And if that's the case, this will be one of maybe 2-3 edits that I'll do maximum in the game. Where I'll stop the footage, run all the way back there, which means we're going to run into a handful of random encounters that are really, really easy. Which, again, it's kind of like grinding, in a way, but this is actually unintentional grinding. I don't think we can teleport back to Moria, because you gotta complete it. I think Moria is broken up into 2 parts, but we do have to save our game. The other option is for me to reload before saving, but there's no way to tell if I can just teleport back without saving. Even if I hit no, the game won't give me the option to teleport. So, frustration. But I do want to see if we can, because it said locked when I looked, and the only reason it should say, oh, travel back, okay. Okay, never mind. We're still good. We're still good. Perfect. Alright, so it brought us back. That's we lucked out. I didn't remember, rather, how that played out. And a part of me was kind of worried that it wouldn't play out in our favor. As far as characters go, I think we were going to pull him out for Barathor. So we'll do that when the battle... There we go. Speaking of which... And since I think we're going to mostly run into goblins down here, it is a good time to swap them out. At least try to get Uruk-hai Bane down and maybe some more leadership, but gotta like how Barathor gets a reduced AP benefit as he levels up. It's interesting in a weird way because it ends up making his cheap leadership skills and his cheap offensive skills kind of even out to the cost of one skill. So that way you're guaranteed to use at least his weakest one. And the recovery time on his buffs is really good. Using any of his cheers, or I call them cheers, leadership skills, tend to not take long for him to get his turn back up again. Meaning there's not a lot of cooldown on him for using them. Again, one of the reasons why you should use them, just on principle. Lumbus. Alright. Let's keep moving.
Listen. What is this?
Fool of a took. Throw yourself in next time. Rid us of your stupidity.
Wait, I see something. What do you say to this, dwarf?
That would be a key to a very important item. Something kept at the throne room. Perhaps a book of secrets.
Can you lead us there?
Which, strangely enough, we were just there, getting those tomes, runes, whatever they were.
It is a Balrog of Morgoth.
We must master our fears. Follow that creature. It is our only way.
Now, there were, what, 7 Balrogs of Morgoth?
The path is destroyed. We must
I think
go
the
back.
leader of them was Gothmog. I'm trying to remember my history of Middle Earth stuff. I'm probably wrong, but I'm pretty sure there were 7 of them. And as stated, Gothmog, I think, was the OG, like the big one, the big bad. And then the one that's in The Lord of the Rings is known as Durin's Bane, which I always thought was weird, because it's like, is that really his name? Did they ever name him in the Silmarillion or anything? And I don't remember if they named them all or not. So there you go. And if you're curious, I'm not a 100% Tolkien lore dude, but I do like my Tolkien Middle Earth lore, and I've read the Silmarillion multiple times. Which get over the opening of it. It's pretty much just a Gaia, the birth of the world story. That's really all it is, and what it really amounts to is kind of a cool story about how the Middle Earth was made, while all these deities are singing songs. Morgoth, which isn't his name, it's like a different name given to him, but I'm just sticking with Morgoth. But Morgoth sings off key and creates a discord in the song that creates the world, and that's what creates kind of all the darkness in it, give or take. And for what it's worth, it's an interesting concept of world building. And in Morgoth, if you read the Silmarillion, you're gonna have imagine them like little short stories about like world building and the world that they all these characters exist in, and it's quite the tale. You learn about the Silmarils that Morgoth wore on his crown. You learn about, if you ever visit Tolkien's grave, there's the name of 2 characters on his grave that are not from The Lord of the Rings or from The Hobbit. They're references of 2 characters from Tolkien's lore. And I'll leave that for you guys. If you're really that interested, look that one up. That's an easy one to get an answer for. It's an easy one to find. And it has to do with the love between an elf and a human, and that what he had to do to prove his love, and all of that, and then what she does in return, and all. It's a really It's really kind of a high fantasy romantic style story. Definitely worth it. But check it out. I can't recommend it enough. The Cimmerillion, but I do suggest you skip the creation story stuff because that can be a little grating, I think, for a lot of people. It just kind of trudges on very slowly, and it's not interesting to some people, and I think they stop reading, and they don't get to like the cool part where Gilgalad freaking flies a golden ship through fucking the largest dragon in all of high fantasy history. Pretty much, that's like accountable, which is I pronounce all these names incorrectly, I know, but just bear with me. But it's Enkelagog or Enceladog the Black. A dragon so massive, it used Mount Doom and Mirth Morgul, or whatever the neighboring mountain is with the tower on the side that later has a tower, Sauron's tower on it. He uses those two mountains to pull himself up out of it's pretty freaking awesome, not gonna lie. And boom, nobody surrounds this group. Not nobody, not no how. Oops, we got some gear, but I didn't totally missed it. So now I think. Hold on, view an epic scene. Who's behind now? I think it's Elagos, and he's gonna fall behind anyway. So we're not gonna be using him nearly as much. Now we did get some gear. Battle axe times 43. Already a better battle axe than the axe you just got. That was the last axe made in Moria. But guess they didn't want us to celebrate that too long. Well, I don't want to view another scene. Son of a gun. Son of a nutless whore. That's okay. Feel the fury, the loud water fury. Goblin's like, motherfucker, I'm wet. You son of a bitch. Sweet. So close to a level. This is not leading us anywhere. Question is it above me or below me? Kinda looks like it's above me, but I don't think it is. I think it's right here. I'm sitting here losing my mind going, I know it's around here somewhere. Even if it's not for something that's good. I know there's a freaking chest and little walkway somewhere. Let's move. We got two stunner stabbies here. How much AP do we have? 77. He'll kill one, as long as he hits. We should be okay. Yeah, the Orc Main and the Guardian Strike don't seem to do any more damage because they're not orcs, they're goblins. They're goofy looking goblins. He's down. So Idriel and Hadhod level. Now again, did Barathor and Elagos level? I don't... Okay, they did not. So yeah, leaving Elagos where he is probably a good idea. Or Elagos, whatever. Not a stickler for names. Anywho, I'm not going to get into too much Tolkien lore because, like I said, I know it at a surface level, and I have a really cool theory that explains some stuff, but you guys got to get to the end of this Let's Play before I give you my rant about why the Eagles did not take the Hobbits to Mount Doom. And it is explainable within the confines of knowing the Silmarillion and the rules of the world that these characters existed. But you have to approach it with that understanding. If you if you try to interpret it as anything more than that, or you try to imply certain elements, again, you need to recheck the Silmarillion. You also need to recheck the actions of various characters and the behaviors of various characters. And you might then be like, okay, they kind of make sense. It's not still kind of weird, but it makes sense. Anyway, we'll get to that in due course. So now we have the luxury of going back to the throne room. So theoretically, if you're wondering, we could have started here, worked our way back, but to me, it makes more sense to get that gear first. Gear, to me, gear and skills is what makes this and breaks your party in this game. If you lack either of those, you're going to be having a bad time. Just saying. And it's very easy in this game to have a bad time, because your characters aren't developed enough. There's even a character we're going to get who's so strangely, awkwardly developing. How you develop him is so awkward and weird that a lot of people just don't use him. But we're gonna use it. We're gonna use everybody, because technically every character is pretty good. But the catch is you have to build them up in a very specific way. How you get there is not relevant, but getting there is. Getting to it is relevant. How you get there, not so much. Whether you grind skills, whether you fiddle around with logistics till the point of your head explodes, just getting there is half the battle. I think you also miss out on fights, too. That doesn't mean you miss out on the... No, I don't think you do, actually. I take that back. I think everything else is the same. Rather, relatively the same. But this is a great place in the game to learn skills, too, just because for Hadhod and Idriel, they're magic skills. Because the save points are not that spread out. So you can always recover AP through them. Whereas in Origian, the save points were much more spread out in certain areas. Here, not so much. You should be able to make it to a save point before long. Because again, that golden... That lightning-looking sphere in the upper left corner, right? That actually has a purpose and a principle behind it. Speaking of principles... We're only going to bring in Elagos when we see things for Elagos to fight. Specifically, wargs. And once the wargs are slain, we'll have other assignments for him. Till then, though. Hadod's so jacked, he could just probably take out one on his own, but that's a whole nother story. Love how the arrow's sticking out of him. And again, any chance we can get to use Hadhot's flaming skill, we will. Barathor gets recovery. That puts Barathor at the same level as the others. Elagos is the only one kind of behind right now. Just keep moving. Another ward, so we leave him in. But since they're archer goblins, we'll use some magic. Nice double crit. Nice. Hadhot's pulling ahead of the pack, but he's going to fall behind later in the game. Mainly because one of his what seems like one of his most useful skills currently, which is the Goblin's Bane. I don't think goblins show up much later in the game, so you run into this problem where there's not very many goblins to use Goblin's Bane on. So you run out of goblins. Well, you're kind of left to your own devices here. Yeah, may as well spend a little bit. You know, we'll spend at the next save point. Elagos should level by then. Not by the next save point, but after the next battle. Idriel and him will level, and then we'll just upgrade everybody's stats. I still believe Elagos is still the furthest behind. 20. Yeah, he's still at 19. So completing the main storyline though, and putting him in the lead will get him caught up. Let's see how easily characters can fall behind, because you notice the ones not getting used get less XP. They're clearly not getting skill points. So you got to keep those things in mind. As we're 3 shy from learning Arrows of Sleep, which will get us to Kingsfoil Grace, which will be Elagos' grinding skill. He's quite far away from his next skill as far as Draining Shot goes. And then we got to figure this one out. Lowers melee defense, Prevents an enemy from counterattacking. That's probably, strangely enough, pinning shot's more important. Because an enemy constantly counterattacking you after every attack, that's gonna get annoying as shit. She's nowhere close on either of these, but she's getting there. He's fighting uphill for that, isn't he? Stonehewer is almost halfway there. So, again, no worries. We will get there. Okay, so yeah. Oh, see, there's the random encounter thing. That didn't show last time we ran through here. So, interesting. But here's the thing. If you go to, and you see the Balrog thing before coming this way, you're going to get that axe. A walking axe, and it's going to be worse than the axe you just picked up. And if you're not paying attention to the stats, which I guarantee you people who play this game don't pay attention to the stats specifically, they just look for the red and the green, which isn't enough. If you look at the stats outright, you'll notice a discrepancy. And the discrepancy is that, the damage is less. So why would you ever use that axe unless you were meant to come that way first? And that's really what I think it was about. Let's see if we can just take this ward down. Actually, we may just want Elagos to go ahead and kill, get his skill here. Is what I'm thinking, and then we'll get him set up for the next one. We'll use Hadhod and Idriel's magic to kind of tide things over. There he goes. There's Arrows asleep. Who's next? She'll just go right in and give him the old 1-2. And we'll set up Elagos' next skill. And now, Barathor's only slightly behind. We may need to take out Idriel or Hadhod at some point, because they're so far ahead now that the others are clearly falling behind. Could take Idriel out, actually. It's skills, Elagos, King's Will Grace. Again, as I stated before, that's his grinding ability. Functionally, it's okay, but it's not great.
Well, we have found it. Moria's Book of Secrets.
Moria's Book of Secrets tells us how to make the best dwarven haggis you ever had.
It with us.
No,
It'll be amazing.
I shall
Be glorious. It'll be delicious. For freedom, frail.
Here it is. Andalui Ven. I can speak the words, but I cannot find the door.
Of course not. That would require cunning beyond the mind of an elf. Yes, witch, your people serve to secure our doors and seek our mithril, but you are never the power behind our throne. Then, now, or ever.
And there we go. No, I don't want to view another freaking scene of Middle Earth. But so we get kind of, in a sense, the map of where we're supposed to go for the door. So you can kind of make sense of it, but it's not a well-made looking map. Just making sure we're good on Moria there. Or on Irigian. So we now have to make our way to the throne room. So running, 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 running. Let's see. Again, there's a warg, so we're going to use Elaghost. The other thing, too, if my memory serves me right, is a lot of enemies tend to have resistance to fire. So half of the magic that is, you know, Hadhod is kind of useless throughout the game, other than the defensive stuff. So this is kind of another reason why we want to get our licks with the fire magic in as early as possible. And since we have Mountain, you know, Shield, that's a good way to start a battle once we have 2 of the 3 characters we want to keep in battle. And if Hadhod happens to be one that we keep in on top of that, even better. Boom goes the dynamite. Now, Elaghost is still a level behind Hadhod and Idriel, and I think Barithor is roughly the same. So yeah, we're going to pull Idriel out and put in Barithor, I think, for a little bit. We're more likely to use Barithor throughout the game than we are Elaghost. Because Barithor is kind of a universal character. He can fight orcs, and you might have noticed we're working on a skill called Uruk-hai Bane. So he's going to be, and if you're familiar with this story of the Lord of the Rings, you know Uruk-hai are coming up. So he'll be ready, full-fledged, to fight them. And there's really not much other variety overall. There's still a few other enemy types we have not met, but between wargs, wraiths, ogres, or trolls rather, they look like ogres to me. I always make that joke. Goblins. I said orcs, Uruk-hai.
No more secrets.
And then stuff at the very end, there's not much variation. So Barithor gets a lot more use in the later chapters than Elaghost does. However, there are lots of beasts that Elagos benefits fighting, so keep that in mind too.
This road leads to the Great Hall of Records, where we are likely to find yet other secrets.
But we still got our ways to go as we enter, I believe, into the next part of Moria here. The Great Halls of Wellendelf, I think is what they're called. Big open areas where it's easy to miss goodies. But if you're ever in doubt, follow the little electric balls because you know that they lead most likely somewhere good. Let's bring in Barathor here just for a little bit. Actually, because I don't want to get stunned. Because I see him there, plotting on us. You see, he was gonna do it. Cheeky little fucker. We denied him. Oh shit, am I attacking with the... Am I attacking the goblin? Yep. Whoopsies. Oh. We only needed Hadhod for that. Okay, let's see here. And they're down. Something of Raging Waters. Or no, never mind. I was way off. But that's a pretty good piece of gear. Compared to that. Ooh, he's starting to look more like a robot. Oh, there was a water. Okay, I wasn't losing my mind. So we got 5 armor and 9 speed, 2 con, 3 spirit versus 5 con, 2 strength, lowering in spirit a little bit. But we'll take it. It's still a better... It is an upgrade. Again, checking all the nooks and crannies. I see a chest from here. Leaves of October. Get another scripted fight. More Wolfies. Bye, Goblin Boy. So Hadhod's just going to hold the lead in levels for a little while, and that's just the way that is. Like I said, there's going to be a point where we don't use him as much. Eventually. Haven't gotten there yet, but it is coming. The camera in this game is awful, too, by the way. But I will say, with that said and done, let's take a look at her skills really quick. Uruk-hai Bane is almost there, and after that, Icthelian Wrath and Defensive Strike is probably... Icthelian Wrath will pick up. That's a pretty good attack. 3 attacks 3 times. Early in the game like this, it can be almost slightly broken. Shield of Courage will be really good to get coming up too. So we need to try to finish Company Rally, which we probably will. We're going to see a lot more stunning goblins coming up. Draining Shot and King's Foil Grace. I need to make sure I use more of just a regular shot instead of... It's very tempting to always want to use Creature Bane when we see wargs, but we need to break away from that to develop King's Foil Grace so we can then, if we choose to do grinding sessions, pick up everything that's here up to like getting him caught up. That way we can do some of this, because this is kind of... Some of these are interesting. A ranged attack that blinds all enemies, reducing their melee and ranged accuracy. How can you not want this skill? But it's a pretty rough grinding skill. Grace of Athelas is interesting, but we can... Barathor has the same skill. You could argue, I think, that these two stack, so keep that in mind. It might be stackable. We'll play around with that. It lowers magic damage caused by enemies for a short time. That one's going to be good. That one's a really good one. And then some of these other ones are trickier. The Northern Storm is pretty awesome. But all of this is quite a ways out. But getting this will help develop what's down here. Again, he's about a quarter of the way there with Devastating Shield. And once he learns Devastating Shield, from there, you pick up Flames of Ruin, and then you work on the big guy here. And that's only if you want to. Stone Hewer is halfway there. A little less than halfway there. 16 is 32, yeah, so a little less than halfway there. And then we'll pick up Mountain Range as well, and then we'll, skip Counter Attack, go to Durin's Wrath, and keep kind of going and going and going here till we get there. And like I said, that'll be fine. She's not halfway to either of these, but she's like a third the way, so that's fine. After Aura of the... Oh, shit. Crap baskets. I wanted to go for Power of the Valor, but we've already invested 16 points into this. Screw it, we're just going to learn Aura of the Valor. I'm not going to... Oh, man, I can't believe I missed that. Valinor Endurance. Well, during a grinding session, we can get this caught up. Don't care about Valinor Endurance. We'll skip that. Go to Valorious Haste to get Cleansing Waters. And then Gift of Greyhaven is great, but we gotta go... Damn, because I would have skipped that for altogether. But this is functional, and it does have some pretty good uses, so I'd be reluctant to say we wouldn't get that at some point, so a little screwed up on my pattern, but that's fine. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/JackTarStudios for more live gaming action. When we come back, more Lord of the Rings The Third Age for you. Don't miss out on it.